We have 3 breaks.
Can you imagine your life where money is your friend, working with you to achieve all your dreams and desires? If you struggle seeing money as your friend, then join Kathy Cook Noble, financial advisor and educator on understanding how your money can work for you. It is possible. Now, here is Financially Speaking with Kathy Cook Noble.
Good afternoon and welcome to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and every Monday night we get together and we talk about something financial, whichever topic that might be. We try and tackle that in a way that makes very logical, common sense understanding of any financial topic. And I found in my my daytime life, and my job as a financial advisor and bookkeeper and having a finance practice, that finances are actually quite easy to understand. The problem is the industry and the way it gets explained sometimes by people. So just about every topic on our show has come from somebody asking me either in my practice or a friend or a family at an event or function, or one of the staff in my office, they'll ask me something, or I get emails like I did today, actually, from one of my clients and said, hey, you should do a show on this. Have you ever thought about it? And I said, sounds good, because I know if somebody's asking me the question, that there's somebody else or several other people out there that have the same question. And like I always tell people, you don't need to understand all these wild and crazy metrics and math formulas and combinations of complicated taxes and the Income Tax Act. What you really need to understand is your own stuff. And everyone is absolutely capable of doing that. And that is actually what we do here at the Inspired Choices Network. We take the holistic approach to everything. And there are other hosts on the show that are experts in lifestyle, they're experts in parenting, they're experts in business, they're experts in the unexplained, they're experts in animal care. There's actually so many experts on the show, but there is a chance that there is something missing. And if there is a void where there's a topic that needs to be filled and you have some expertise on it, then I strongly encourage you to talk to Christine, our network owner and executive and producer and the host of the Inspired Choices Network show. So reach out to her and talk to her about either becoming a host or eventually working into being a host. She's excellent to work with, and she makes it actually very, very easy, because if she can take someone who's a numbers person, who's behind the scenes, and put them on a show like me, then I think that it's fairly safe to say she can do it for anybody. And that is what we do here. So please reach out, plug yourself into any of the shows that you need, and don't be afraid to ask the host questions. They're very, very easy to talk to and very approachable. And it is so easy. And I love hearing from people, because I will do the show. It's not a case where you send in a recommendation, I don't do it. I will do the show. We will talk about the differences between RSPs and TFSAs. We will talk about understanding your financial future. We'll understand your budgets. And I know those words people hate sometimes, but it's just tracking your cash flow. That's all. And we'll make it as easy and as comfortable as possible. Now, I also have these great opportunities that come along where I get to have special hosts, special guests come on the show, either as a guest, a co-host, or one of my featured experts. And tonight I have a very special guest that's joining us tonight. And I'm excited to have Josephine here. I've known Josephine for a while, and she has an absolute wealth of experience that you are going to want to tap into. She is a writer. She is the published author of The Joyful Caregiver, which we will talk to her about this book. It's a spectacular story. She's a certified life and business coach, also an elementary school educator, TESOL instructor and CEO, which we're going to talk to her about that. She has studied several healing modalities and personal development over the last 25 years, and she helps individuals, families, and professionals live their best life. And she has been doing it over 25 years, and she looks very youthful and fantastic, and it's hard to believe, but she does have an absolute wealth of experience and years of doing that. She helps transform entrepreneurs to the next level. So feel free to ask her questions, reach out to her tonight if you're watching us live. If you're not watching us live, then you'll easily be able to get in contact with her because she will share her contact information. It is on our website and you'll be able to reach out to her directly. So Josephine has, her book is available on Amazon. I want to not forget to say that now, although we will talk about it. So The Joyful Caregiver by Josephine Grace, you can find it on Amazon and the link will be on my website as well as Josephine's. And one of the quotes that Josephine has that is something that you should probably write down and put on your wall is failure is feedback, it's learning. We're all students and learners. When failure comes our way, we can perceive it as a setback or we can look at it as a lesson. Never give up on your dreams. There is always a way. And that is such great advice. And I'm excited to start right there with Josephine. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm so happy to have you on. I know I've talked to you probably close to a year about coming on, and I finally was able to either convince you or get a time that worked where you were available, because I know how busy you are. Maybe I gave a very short introduction. There's so much more to what you do and who you are. Maybe share a little bit more about you and how you came to be where you are today.
Great. Thank you for that, Kathy. Wonderful introduction. So grateful to be here. First and foremost, want to thank you and Christine. This is a wonderful opportunity to be here. And yes, we've been trying for a year to be on here, and great to finally make it with you and your audience, and great to tell you about myself as well. I have, as you mentioned, I'm actually an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old. However, at 8 years old, you start off with a lemonade stand and you start off, collecting money and not sure how to budget and what to do with your money. So I encourage everyone to start young with your kids. So critical. That's the first message that I'd love to share. So I started this journey at a young age, the entrepreneurship journey. I actually grew up in an Italian household and was a caregiver at a very young age. Of course, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that I had to do chores and responsibilities at a very young age. So grow up really quickly to care for my mom, and didn't understand it, but there were so many blessings that came out of that to really just be in sort of that leadership role, although I didn't know that at the time. But fast forward, after high school, I realized in so many ways that, wow, I love teaching. I love helping others. I love exploring opportunities to really tap into and learn about children and learn about the best, bring out the best in them, and studied and became a teacher and had diverse skills as a result of finding a way to care for my family, care for my mom at the time, and become self-employed and become an entrepreneur. All of this was sort of an evolution on, okay, how can I do it all? How can I take care of my mom, pay for the bills, start a business? It can become sort of that big O. I always say that big O. I don't like to talk about the big O because I believe in, really creating space. But at the time when you're going through it, you really feel this sense of overwhelm because there's so much to do. And developing the skills along the way brought me forward to diverse skills in business development, business management, all of these skills. And then I realized, wow, I would love to start this side hustle to ensure that I have my own business going while I'm working in corporate, while I'm teaching. And I just evolved and created this business. And then people started asking me, well, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And it just became sort of a natural gift to help others. And then there was this tragedy that happened. And that was a friend of mine at 44 years old, died on her birthday. And that's when I realized, whoa, I need to share with everyone, because what Patty and I had in common is we were both caregivers. and we were caregivers for our parents. She was a caregiver for her dad, and I was a caregiver for my mom. And what I didn't know, and sometimes we shared notes and we talked about, "Oh, so how's it going? Like, what are you doing for your dad?" And we shared these notes. What I didn't know is that she had cancer, and she had something going on for her that she didn't share with everyone, because as often as caregivers, we tend to be strong. We have to show up strong. We have to be the leaders. We get to be the leaders. When we're going through it, we don't feel that get to be. We often see it as we have to be. And so we find ways to navigate. At that point, I realized, wow, there was burnout. If we don't care for ourselves in the process, what good are we to help others? And that's when I really, in my grieving process, really realized that I needed to get my message out. I needed to share with everyone. I needed to share how to prevent burnout, how to navigate, how to really pivot and find ways to love ourselves, to build our business, and care for others. We can have it all. We don't have to do an either or situation or scenario. We can do the both and. The key is the skills. How do we develop those skills? And so 6 months later, I hired a book coach, and I think it was about 9 weeks, wrote my book, The Joyful Caregiver, 8 Steps to Prevent Caregiver Burnout. And just started really sharing and getting out there and talking to people and really create. Yes, it was quick. Absolutely. When you have your passion and your life experiences inside of you, and you really have the outline and the layout to really identify what your setbacks have been in life and what you've overcome, what breakthroughs did you overcome in your life? Usually, those are the gems that you can share with others, because often there are people that have no idea how to overcome. And this is where, the life and business coaching comes into play for me. It was just a natural transition from teaching and loving kids to teaching and loving people to teaching and loving families, to just expand and really share and create this ripple effect and make a great impact. And so here I am today with you, Kathy, sharing and really just grateful to be here to share what I've gone through and what was the catalyst to write my book.
That's awesome. That's an amazing story. And sadly, you hear a lot of the tragedy that comes with having a story like that. But with you, there's a lot of great things that come out of the tragedy. And a lot of people don't always learn from that. They have something happen, and then they could very easily, and this is one of the things I want to ask you, is you can see where people can turn inward and really become depressed and sad and very negative. But you had the opportunity, same opportunity a lot of people have, but you made it very, very focused on learning and being able to share that gift with people. How do you do that when you're going through stuff and you have to deal with all that pain and sadness, really?
Mm-hmm. Great question. And that is the key to really, that I want to share with everyone. It's okay to feel that pain. It's okay to feel that grief. It is okay to acknowledge that you have experienced the loss or you are going through difficult times. And that's the first thing that I want to mention, the embracing what you currently have and acknowledging and grieving when it's time to grieve, because I wasn't able to do that initially. And when I took the time and I started to embrace the grief and to accept it, that's when the turning point happened in my life. And I can share that. I can go into detail. I know that we have a break coming up, so I want to make sure that that we have the sort of the right timing in place. But absolutely, I think it's really critical to be okay with what you're feeling. That's the first step.
That is excellent timing and excellent advice. And I think you're right on. Why don't we do that? We'll take our first break of the night. And when we come back, you can share the deeper information and more detail of what you went through and how you handled that. And for other people too, because I know each situation is different, but there's a lot of pieces that I know you're going to be able to connect that crossover for a lot of the experiences everybody goes through. So we'll take our first break of the night. We have Josephine Grace with us all night, and she is going to be sharing a lot of very, very helpful, very practical, as I like on the show, the stuff that you can actually use every day and understand it and put to practice. So don't go anywhere. Josephine Grace is with us. She is the author of The Joyful Caregiver. We're going to take our first break tonight. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network, and we will be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook Noble, and tonight our special guest is Josephine Grace. She is the author of The Joyful Caregiver. She's also a certified life and business coach. And Josephine was just sharing before our first break some insight as to how to handle some of the issues that people deal with when they're a caregiver and they have a business and they have family and they have responsibilities. And sometimes it feels like the whole weight of the world is on your shoulders and you're the only one that can carry it because, like Josephine said, you feel like you have to, not that it's a gift that you get to. And Josephine, I'd love to hear you share more about that. Before you do, if you could hold up your book and just tell us where to find you. I know your book is available on Amazon, but how we can get a hold of you, either by social media or by email, or best connection for people to connect with you.
Absolutely. I can show you up close.
Perfect.
Great, thank you. The best way to connect with me would be through my social media. You can find me on my Instagram at Josephine Grace Coach. That would be one way, and message me directly in Instagram. Alternatively, you can send me a private email at hello@josephinegracecoaching.com, and that'll take you directly to myself. And I know some people prefer Facebook, and you can also message me through Messenger on Facebook. And I'm wearing the blue blazer.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So back to our conversation that we started about, which is really how your book started, isn't it? How you started writing the book. And I know you'll get into some more information on that, but just sharing with us how people can be helped just with the overwhelming responsibilities that they sometimes feel in those situations.
Yeah, Kathy, it's quite interesting when we're going through it. As I was mentioning before the break, we have these emotions that come up for us, and often there's symptoms that come up as well, like brain fog and fatigue, and just like feeling that we can't get out of bed. I mean, these are the beginning and onset of burnout and chronic fatigue. And I think what's really important is to claim it and say, this is how I'm feeling right now. And then discover ways and skills that you can break through that. And some will say, well, what does that mean? We can sit in that feeling of, okay, I'm tired, and just give into it and stay in bed all day. And as caregivers, we don't have that luxury to stay in bed all day. And quite honestly, I don't even think staying in bed all day is a luxury in so many ways, unless you're at a resort, of course, and you're intentionally doing that. But often day to day, when we're caring for our families, when we have a business to run, when we have an audience to serve, we ourselves need to lead our life and go deep and say, okay, what is it right now that I can do to feel good? So for example, after the passing, we'll talk about the passing of the death. I didn't want to get out of bed. In fact, there were times where I didn't get out of bed, and it was, I know this is going to sound strange, but this is my reality. It was my dog, right? Because of my puppy, who, of course, I look at her and, your heart just melts, and you want to get out of bed for your child, or you want to get out of bed for your dog, and you want to get out and walk them, for example. And so she was the motivation. I fed her, I gave her water, I walked her, yet for myself, what was I doing for myself? And that's the key, to really acknowledge and say, okay, this is where I'm at. I haven't eaten or taken care of myself, to really take an inventory of what you're doing for yourself and say, okay, tomorrow morning or today, you could start now. I'm going to block out 12 to 1, and I'm going to intentionally go for a walk, have some food, make myself a meal, sit with nature, and breathe. And just by being intentional with those activities, you will have a recharge. Something new comes up from that. You get to create something new that you didn't necessarily create while you're in bed, feeling those feelings of not wanting to get out of bed. So those are some skills that you can do to really get out and move and get into nature and feed yourself and stay hydrated. The other skill that I learned that I am grateful to say has really been beneficial is journaling. Writing down your feelings, writing down your emotions, writing down, I don't want to get up and do this. If that's true for you, get it out, get it out. Because often as introverts, for example, myself, I'm an introvert. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. I learned extrovert as a teacher. We get to learn things and new skills, and as a business owner, market, etc. We, as an entrepreneur, we get to do it all. Kathy, you realize we're our bookkeeper, we're our manager, we do it all. And so when we're doing it all, when we're leading and when we're being the leader, we get to say, okay, I'm going to write this down. Often we write things down, but we're writing goals and lists. What about writing to ourselves and say, this is what I'm feeling today. This is what's going on for me. And the other thing you can do is say, I am grateful for. That's another, like there's so many different things that you can do to really get you out of your head and into your heart, and to really feel what you're feeling and be okay to feel that way, to say, it's okay to feel tired, right? It's okay to feel sad. Now I get to choose to do something so that I can feel something else, that I can bring some joy. Buy some flowers, call someone, say hello. Like there's so many different things that we get to do, provided that we take inventory of where we're at and not avoid it or procrastinate or say, there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You are okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Now you get to set an intention and do something different so that you get to experience joy. You get to experience and create something new.
Wow, that is, it sounds so easy, does it? You know, when you say it like that, it does. And I know from the little experience I had, but just I'm sure from you working with different people, it's just not that easy for people, is it?
It's not always easy when we stay in our head, and
Yeah.
when we're feeling what we're feeling, it's not always easy. And it's true. I mean, this is what God, and I write about that actually in the book, that often we feel guilty for taking care of ourselves. We feel guilty and selfish for taking care of ourselves. Yet the reality is, if we don't care for ourselves, we won't have anything left to care for anyone else. If we're burnt out, or if our health isn't at a high level, high performing level, then how can we care for anyone else? We simply can't. And it's okay to say, I remember there was a point where I was a full-time caregiver for my mom, as I mentioned, and there was just this disconnect from my body that I was experiencing, because I was just constantly, going to the doctors, translating for her, meeting with her other home care providers. It was just a constant go, 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 that I was completely disconnected with who I am and what I love and what even I needed. You go through this element of not knowing even what I need. Like people would call me and say, is there anything you need? No, you know what? I don't know what I need, because I'm so used to doing it all myself that I'm okay. And in that essence, you're not okay in that moment. When we can't identify what we need, then you're not okay. When we can say, I haven't eaten in 2 days and I would love a cooked meal, then we're saying, what we're doing is we're not only being a gift for ourselves for identifying what our needs are, but we're also being a gift for others, because really others just want to help. And often we don't know what to say or how to help others who are grieving or who are completely burnt out. And so really our responsibility is to learn and to know what our needs are, so that we can nurture and care for ourselves, because the more we do that for ourselves, the more we have to offer others and make a greater impact for others, including our families and our community.
And do you find too that although it's easy or difficult, I should say, for people to identify what they need, is it hard for them to ask for help as well and receive help? I mean, you can ask for it, but receiving it, I think, is probably a different step too, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that is a skill that it's so important to, first of all, it's as if you have, and I'm going to use it as a metaphor because when I get to sort of teach kids. So imagine you are talking to yourself and you have that inner child, and as a child, often children don't know what they need, but you can ask them and you can present different things. Would you like this, or would you, right? You give them options and choices.
Right.
As an adult, we get to do that for ourselves and make decisions for ourselves and try things on, not literally like clothes or whatever, but try things to see what it is that we need. Sometimes it's just I need to, like, I literally just need to sleep. And if I could have 8 hours of sleep tonight and ask for help, either a sibling, or you can ask, a neighbor or a relative, would it be all right if you come over and just watch my mom, or if you can watch the kids? I'm just going to take tonight to just recharge, because sleep is so critical, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Holy smokes, we're up to our second break already. I just forgot to pay attention to the clock. I got listening to you. Don't tell Christine.
Okay.
We are going to take our second break of the night. And when we come back, I want to talk to you, Josephine, about where you see yourself in 5 years. What is there a second book on the horizon? Where you think people make the biggest mistake as entrepreneurs? What makes people unique as an entrepreneur? I want to get in a bunch of questions before we run out of time tonight. But let's take our second break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Kathy Cook-Noble, and we have our special guest tonight, Josephine Grace, the author of The Joyful Caregiver, which is available on Amazon. Don't go anywhere.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook-Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Money is complicated, right? Actually, no, it's not. You don't have to be a trader on Wall Street to get a handle on your money. TV shows often instill fear to keep you believing you can't understand it or do anything yourself. If dealing with your finances brings up a lot of other F words, then you need to read All Ladies Should Use the F Word, A Guide to Loving Your Finances by Kathy Cook-Noble. Kathy helps you take control of your finances and leave the other F word, fear, in the dust.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook-Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook-Noble, and tonight we have our very special guest, Josephine Grace, with us, and we are talking about not just the book, The Joyful Caregiver, and some of the secrets inside, but also part of the life and business coaching that Josephine does, because they really do work together. And I think maybe we'll let you share that more, because you clearly know more than I do about that. But when you're working with people, do you find that there are a lot of overlaps between what they're doing personally as a caregiver and how they're working as an entrepreneur, and the kind of entrepreneur that they've actually turned themselves into? may not be what they're desiring it to be?
Yes. So the caregiver aspect and the caregiver role, often we look at caregiving as isolating it from your business. And the reality is, you don't need to isolate it. You can actually find a way to incorporate it. One of the reasons for example, one of the reasons for myself, when I used to work for a corporation, when I was doing business development and I was being a caregiver, I thought, okay, I'm going to start a side hustle so that eventually I'll go from the side hustle that I start into becoming a full-time business owner so that I can set and create my own hours and care for my family. And that's the key. When we don't have that opportunity to care for our family because we're working hard, that theory about working hard and we'll get money, and we'll become rich. I mean, you can speak to it more than I can. It's not always the best theory. It's about working smart. So what are ways that we can work smart, leveraging our time, leveraging our money, leveraging our community? And we get to find new ways and new skills and people that we can collaborate with. We don't necessarily have to be a solopreneur. We can be an entrepreneur and find ways to incorporate our families so that it doesn't create this either or, like, oh, well, I'll just work 5 days a week and then Saturday and Sunday have it for my family. Well, why not create a schedule and block out time, for self-care? So for myself, for example, first thing in the morning, when I wake up, I set the intention to drink water, stay hydrated, lemon water. I do my practice, my morning practice of writing and journaling and thinking about my day. So I'm very intentional with my morning practice, and I'm very intentional with my evening practice. So that helps me to really set intentions for the day and also say, okay, I've taken care of myself, right, throughout the day. And now I get to go out to the community, answer calls, answer emails. Now I get to, so you find ways to really master your calendar so that you're really intentional about your schedule and your time and your business and your family life.
And it just sounds so easy.
So here's the thing. It sounds easy, and it's not easy if you don't do it. It becomes easier when you are staying committed to what intentions you're setting out.
Very good. Very true. Very true. That's true. I know that on the financial side, I see that it's easy as long as you do it. And it's a commitment, right? Like you said, it's intentional. You make that decision and you're intentional about it. And I think that's probably really important for people, because that is the intention is conscious, where you're consciously doing that. And a lot of people, I think, and I've seen it in my family, where you're running on autopilot a lot of the time when you're doing stuff like that. You're not necessarily conscious of the fact that you're putting in all those hours running back and forth to help out with the family side of things, and you're not necessarily noticing that you're not looking after yourself. And I think that is really key, what you said about the intention and setting the intention, and every day it is simple, and it's something you can do, and every day you set the intention. And I think that is really powerful, what you said. What I want to ask you too about, for you, how do you find what kind of entrepreneur somebody is, or what kind of entrepreneur, how do you get to be the kind of entrepreneur that you want to be? How do you get to that point where you can say, I know a lot of people want to be in business. I talk to people all the time, and they'd love to have their own business. They'd love to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know what kind of entrepreneur they are or what kind of entrepreneur they want to be. How do you coach on that?
Wonderful, wonderful question. Absolutely. Especially now more than ever, people want to be entrepreneurs for whatever reason, whether they want to change their career, whether they want, they're just done with their job, they want something different, whether they don't find that purpose or meaningful work with the career that they're in now, whether they've been laid off. There are many people at home that have been laid off for obvious reasons, or whether they want to be with their family at home. So we have all these different, we have so many people that come to me and say, I want to start my own business. How do I start? So it's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I do is I really, I help them explore what they love. What do you love? What are your passions? And it's not easy to discover what you love. Often we're on, as you mentioned, autopilot. I have no idea what I love. So then I would go deeper and say, when you were a child, what did you love to do? What did you study? What courses and subjects did you love? What did you do? What ways, what lit you up? For me, it was teaching. For me, it was helping others. For me, it was when I see aha moments in my students or in my clients, when they're getting something that's like, or they say to me an email just last week, she says, Josephine, thank you so much for our call yesterday, because it just gave me new life. And now I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. These are the steps that I'm taking. And it was just like, for me, that's just like, wow, this is why I do what I do. And it's really learning your mission and your why you want to do what you do. And if you can discover why you want to do what you do, and it's not about money. Money is a gift and an exchange of energy, exchange for services. If you discover the why and your mission, gosh, the money will just flow. And that's where the working smart and leveraging comes into play versus, okay, I have to work really hard and save, and nothing else happens.
I love that. I love that. Because, I'm in the money game, and I tell people all the time, money has absolutely no emotion towards you. It's not upset that you don't have it. It's not happy you have it. There's so much money out there that you just decide you want it, and it'll come to you. And for my world, it's really that easy. If you want the money, then there's lots of it out there. The hard part for people is the part that you're talking about, figuring out what is it that they have, where are they interested? And a lot of people, I find, they're in jobs that they don't love, but they'll tell me, well, I don't love it, but if I can wait it out, then I'll get to this point and either get this much of a pension, or I'll be able to retire early, or whatever the case is. And then when I retire, I'll be able to do whatever it is that I love. And I think, wow, that's putting in a way, it's putting your life on hold, and life's pretty valuable and precious. So it's hard to say, well, when this happens, I'll get to be able to do what I really want to do. And a lot of them, they really don't know what they really want to do. They just know, a lot of the time when I talk to them, they know what they really don't want to do, but they don't necessarily know what they want to do. So I think that's very key when you said that, to really the intention of it, and the focusing on what they like to do. And I think a lot of the times with working with yourself, they just work it out and work through it themselves very consciously with you, and the process that you go through to get them there.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's the key to really identify the process that I help them. I ask them the questions. My coaching, it's the questions. It's providing an outline to say, or to write and say, okay, this is what I love. This is my vision. And often, many times, they don't know what that vision is. Absolutely. This is why I'm here. This is why I do the coaching that I do, to really identify and help you discover what it is you would love to do. And you don't necessarily have to leave your job per se. You can keep your job, right? Because it's paying the bills, and you can start creating the side hustle. That's what I did, right? So there are different ways, and we get to explore those ways together so that you're taking your next step. That's the key. Keep moving forward. Take the next step.
Absolutely. And with that, our next step is going to be our third and final break of the night. And Josephine will share her book with us again so that you can take a moment and have a look at it and make sure you get the spelling and all that written down, even though we do have it on our website. But if Josephine, you want to share that book again for us, that would be great. It is available on Amazon. I encourage everyone to order their copy today and reach out to Josephine if you want to talk to her more or book a session with her. There is going to be a very special offer gift that Josephine is going to share with you before the end of our show, which I'm going to tell you about as soon as we return back from this break. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Kathy Cook-Noble. Our guest tonight is Josephine Grace, and we will be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook-Noble, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Kathy Cook-Noble. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Kathy Cook-Noble, and we have been spending some time with Josephine Grace and really learning more about the opportunities that are out there for people to be entrepreneurs and the help that they can have. I know in my world, it's always about money and finances. And as much fun as that is, people often think that that's really what they need to get going in business. And the reality is it's not necessarily the dollars and cents. A lot of it comes down to mindset. And mindset is something that Josephine works a lot with. And I would say you focus majority on that. If that's not, is that correct? That mindset is really the big part of the program. And Josephine's been sharing some tips on how we can tap into that and get our mindset worked out right. And I do want to ask Josephine some of the biggest lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur over the years that you have been one, and the different kinds of people that you've dealt with. What have you learned that would be the biggest takeaway for you?
Oh goodness, the different types of people I've dealt with. that's an always interesting journey. And here's the thing, we encounter in life all types of people, all types at all times in our life. And it is how we respond to relationships and to our interactions with each other that make it or break it for you. And what I mean by that is we get to choose to find a way to effectively communicate what it is that we desire, what it is that we need, what it is that how we can help others and how we can serve. So those skills that, often we can, for example, I mean, there's so many different ways that I could take this, Kathy, to really look at the lesson that's in that moment. So for example, if you're experiencing a setback, someone telling you, you can't do this. Instead of getting upset about it or giving up on what it is that you can't do, find other possibilities. Do a brainstorming session. Talk to different people. This is where that could be someone's opinion telling you you can't do something. Yet I believe, and sometimes I even say, well, if you can't do this, like I'll call someone and I'll ask for something, for example, and they say, well, no, that's not possible. You can't do that. Okay, can you let me speak to someone who will tell me it's possible? Well, no, that we don't have it. Well, can I speak to your supervisor? Because I understand, appreciate you may not have the authority to be able to provide this, yet I believe there's someone that can. And so that has opened so many doors for me, right? For example, when you're going for a loan at a bank, let's take it, and you go to one bank and they say, well, no, we can't help you. You're self-employed. Unless you have a co-signing, we can't help you. Okay, is there another way? And Kathy, I'm sure you've encountered that. Is there another way? So I take my clients through the possibility thinking to say, okay, they said no here. Let's look for the yeses. Let's find the yeses, because there are yeses. And that's where we go from limiting beliefs to really possibility beliefs.
Exactly. That's so true. That is so true. And I know we have just a few minutes left with you, but I'd love to know what's in your future. Where do you see things in the next few years? What's on your plan for your business?
Absolutely. So I just completed a summit, the Entrepreneur's Remarkable Breakthrough Summit. I have another summit coming up at the end of the month, and that is geared towards entrepreneurs and really helping entrepreneurs launch their business. And my foreseeable future is really all about helping people to launch their business. And in order for them to launch their business, to identify, to get clear on what it is that they would love to start, and just multiply that, just continuing to turn it into, to burst into momentum with their business. So that's the near future. The long term is forming collaborations. I have another book in the plan, in the making. And so I'm gearing towards that, as well as really focusing my energy on business, on partnerships and other streams of income, really leveraging money, really leveraging the business, and creating a dream team of possibility.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And I'm so grateful to have had you on tonight. And I appreciate all your insight and your wisdom, and wish you all the best. I know you're going to be fabulous and do really well. And I hope you'll come back and give us an update on how things are going and share some more insight with us, because I do know that what you're doing and helping people is something that is always going to be needed. And I feel that now more than ever, people are looking to get some help and direction, because there's a lot of confusion and fear. So I think it's really, really important for people to be able to get in touch with you. So please reach out to Josephine to win a 60-minute coaching call with Josephine, which you are going to be able to do. And she's also going to provide a Launch Your Business Guide. Please go to my WISE, the Women Investment and Social Exchange Facebook page, like and share it, comment. We will randomly be choosing someone from that particular venue, which is WISE, WISE, Women Investment and Social Exchange. Like and share, and you can win 60 minutes with Josephine one-on-one, as well as the Launch Your Business Guide. Thank you so much, Josephine, for joining us. Don't forget to download the Inspired Choices app. We are available on Apple and Android. You have all the opportunity to hear this in playback, as well as the other great shows and hosts that we have here on the Inspired Choices Network. And we will see you again next Monday.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Financially Speaking Radio Show. Kathy Cook Noble will return next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.